Hey, house guests, welcome to today's Big Brother 23 updates and spoilers. What's going on? I hope that fan is not too loud. Let me know if it's super loud. It's not. I don't need it. But we'll see what happens. So, anyway, happy Thursday, happy eviction day. Thank you all so much for being here. Are we all ready for the Brent eviction party? Oh my God. So our house guests of the day are Latasha Allen and Mary Gregoire. Thank you both so much for the support. We could not do this without you, and we appreciate it so, so much. So thank you again. And if you guys want to be house guests of the day, check out our Patreon link in the info box below. It's only $1 for a holla. And before we get started, I also want to thank our super chatters from yesterday. Jefferson Tucker, Jody Cortez, DC May 522, AR Chan 1785, Viley King 1, and Nick Silverstein. Thank you all so much. And I see we already have some super chatters today. Oh, okay. I just thought somebody was saying the video wasn't working, but I just made that up in my head. Okay. So I want to thank today's super chatters so far before we get going here. Jody Cortez, thank you for the super chat. He says, I hope Brittany wins so we can have a crazy HOH. Right? How insane would a Brittany HOH week be? I'm ready for it. I want to see some fun feeds this week. So let's have it, right? Rob's classic commercials and retro stuff. Thank you so much for the super chat. He says, I would love to see Sarah Beth, Brittany, or Derek F win HOH tonight. Also love watching your spoilers every day. Thanks, Rob. Those are some good choices for HOH. Laura G, thank you for the super chat. Laura says, I'm looking forward to tonight's eviction. Aren't we all? She said, also, I love the cookbook. The content and layout look really great. Thank you so much. I'm glad you're enjoying it. I hope all of you guys who are enjoying our cookbook, that doesn't make sense. I was going to say are enjoying it. Thank you to everybody who has purchased our cookbook. We hope you're loving it. Jefferson Tucker, thank you for the super chat. Jefferson says, can Julie override tonight's eviction and cast the sole vote to evict blabbermouth Derek F? So frustrating. Derek F is not the one that I'm frustrated here with, or that he's like the blabbermouth, which we'll get to in a bit. But, right? These house guests just can't keep it together. But thank you for the super chat. And oh my goodness, Darren McDowell, thank you so much for the generous super chat. You shouldn't have. You are so, so kind. So thank you so, so much. I guess we should get started here, right? We got a lot to discuss, but woo! When we left off yesterday, Brent and Brittany up on the block. Christian did not use the power veto, which means that Brent is about to get blindsided so hard. Or is he? Okay, when I say or is he, I don't mean that he's not going to leave, because it should be a unanimous vote unless someone gets goofy with a rogue vote. But did somebody blow it last night? We'll get there in a bit. So looking forward, there's been a lot of planning this week for what's going to happen next week, since it's been set already that Brent was going to leave. So there were lots of different names being thrown around as possible targets for next week. So if we look at the breakdown here, the Kings minus Xavier are targeting Hannah at this point. They want to put Whitney up on the block next to her, but they want Hannah to go between the two. The Jokers and the Aces are wanting to break up the Kings. And they're kind of going back and forth if they want it to be Christian or I was going to say Aria. If they want Christian or Alyssa leaving. The Queens don't really want to win HOH this coming week. They want someone else to win and take a shot at the Kings or Whitney. More likely the Kings. But Tiffany has been playing very hard this week. Maybe too hard. On Tuesday night, she was saying that she's the most loyal to Claire. She's saying the women need to stick together. She's talking about potentially taking a shot at Kylan soon, or at least weakening his defenses. But then, just a few hours later, the next morning, she's presenting a plan to the cookout to get them all to the final 6. So if you guys want the full details on all that, watch yesterday's spoiler because I can't break it all down again. It's too much. But I will tell you the basics here. This plan that she has to get the cookout to the final 6 is basically like the brigade's game plan, but with more people, right? Because she's thinking of it like this. Each member of the cookout will pair up with somebody outside of the alliance. So, I mean, that's not completely true because Derek F wouldn't have his own person. He would kind of be a trio with Azah and Brittany. But anyway, everybody else gets their partner outside of the alliance, and then that's gonna leave 2 leftovers. So they're gonna get rid of Alyssa and Whitney before the jury starts, and then once they get down to 11 people, the cookout is gonna have the majority there, 6-5. So Tiffany's saying they can just get rid of non-cookout members in whatever order they want. It's a good plan in theory, but it's not impenetrable. There's a lot that could go wrong with this. People could catch wind of it. I think people are going to figure it out eventually. Also, if somebody outside of the alliance wins and puts up 2 members of the cookout together, what are they supposed to do then, right? I mean, Tiffany's goal is to have like the outside of the alliance people put on the block with their cookout counterparts so that people don't catch on to it and so that the cookout would still control the vote. But you never know what could happen. There could also be infighting within the cookout because there's a lot of tension between Tiffany and Azah especially. So who knows if this thing would actually happen, but this is Tiffany's plan that she's laying out. So anyway, in other news, we saw yesterday that Brittany and Brent were checking in with people about their votes this week, and Brittany is getting reassurances from people. Brent is still in the dark. Okay, so then Brent checked in with Alyssa in the sea glass bedroom, and Brent says, "I'm many things, but I'm not an idiot." Well, ooh, yikes. There's a lot of sound bites from Brent, especially like in the last week that are just, ooh. But anyway, he says, "My team trusts my judgment with you. They know that we're protecting you all the way through. And if the vote is 7-4, they know that you're on our side. And they will protect you moving forward." So Alyssa's like, "Yeah, I'm on board. Because if you leave, my team is going to be the only team left with 4 people, and we're going to be targeted." She's not keeping Brent. But Brent was talking about what a stupid move it was for Xavier to put him up after they just built an alliance together. Nobody else seems to think it's stupid, but Alyssa is promising Brent her vote is not changing, which really isn't like a lie because she was never planning on keeping him. So then Xavier and Derek X had a game chat in the HOH room. And Derek is asking if the Kings are still planning on targeting Whitney if they win HOH next week. And Xavier says, no, they are not. They're starting to lean away from Whitney as the target. In reality, they've fully moved on to Hannah, except for Xavier. Xavier does not want Hannah to go, but he can't just straight up say to the rest of his team why. So he's also not admitting this to Derek X yet. He's not going to drop any specific names, but he's saying the target is moving off of Whitney and onto somebody else. So he says that Whitney has been getting in his team's good graces lately. And Derek's like, damn, that's working. And Xavier says it is. And it might be good for the Royal Flush to meet up soon and go over everything that's going on. So Xavier says, as of right now, his team is still planning on putting Whitney up on the block, but they're trying to figure out who should go up next to her. He says, we haven't really decided yet. That's a lie. He's holding back some information here. He knows that his team is after Hannah. But if that gets out, I mean, especially to Derek X, who's super close to Hannah, that could spell some real trouble, and he doesn't want to throw his team under the bus at this point. So Derek says, well, I had a brief conversation with Alyssa, and Hannah's name did come up. And Derek X says, that came as a surprise to me. So is Derek X going to warn Hannah about this? They are pretty tight. But Xavier, again, is just saying, like, the Royal Flush should really meet up soon and talk about all this. He doesn't really confirm, like, yes, the Kings are targeting Hannah. But after, Alyssa goes up to the HOH room to have a one-on-one with Xavier, and X is like, how do you feel about the Whitney thing? And just to refresh your memories, the Whitney thing is referring to Whitney approaching Christian and Alyssa and saying that she wants to start an alliance with the two of them, Derek X and Xavier, and possibly Kyland, but she's not 100% sure on that yet. So Alyssa says she does think that Whitney wants to work with them. And she's like, yeah, Whitney was telling me if she won HOH, she would put up Brittany and Claire. She's lying. That is not what Whitney would do. But Alyssa says that Hannah is the biggest threat outside of their alliance. Why take out Whitney if she wants to work with us? You know? So Xavier's like, well, the queens might start wondering why we're not looking at Whitney as a target anymore. You know, why did we shift things here? And Alyssa says, well, if the queens want Whitney out, they can win HOH and take her out themselves. She says if we win HOH, we should get to decide who goes. It should be up to us. So Xavier's like, yeah, but I think if we were to go after Whitney, Hannah wouldn't be upset with us about it. She wouldn't come after us. He's trying so hard to get the target off of Hannah, but it is not working. Alyssa is insisting that Hannah is a bigger threat and Whitney wants to work with them. Yeah, she wants to work with you to cover her ass now, just in case the Kings win HOH next week. But a little later, Whitney has a one-on-one meeting with Xavier in the HOH room, and Whitney's like, oh, did you talk to Alyssa and Christian, you know, about her whole alliance proposal thingy? And Xavier's like, yes, I did. And he says, we're all kind of scared of the A word, meaning alliance. But he says, we're cool with having an understanding that we're all looking out for each other. And Whitney's like, oh, that's exactly what I was thinking too. Isn't though? But Whitney brings up some concerns about Kyland. Like I mentioned, she said maybe we could pull Kyland into this, but she's not sure yet. So she's saying, I'm always seeing Kyland having tons of one-on-ones with different people, and I feel like he's got tons of close relationships. That is accurate, you know? So she says, I don't want him to be a part of our thing because he's already spreading himself too thin. So if he's making promises to all these other people and then he makes a promise to us, which one is he going to be more loyal to? We don't need to risk that right now. So then Xavier's asking Whitney, if you win HOH next week, would you feel pressure from everyone to put up the Kings? You know, because the Kings are going to be the only team left fully intact with 4 people. Now, Xavier wants her to say that she would put Christian and Alyssa up on the block so that he can get the target back onto her. So he can go back to Christian and Alyssa and be like, hey, Whitney wants you out. So he can try and change their minds a bit. But Whitney's like, no, like, yes, I'd feel the pressure, but I wouldn't put you guys up. Maybe Sarah Beth as a pawn, but I would talk to the team about it first and make sure that Sarah Beth would be safe up on the block. She's lying! So then a little later, Brittany has her one-on-one with Whitney, and Whitney starts off by saying, obviously, Brent is going this week. You're good. You don't have to worry. And then eventually they talk about going after the Kings next week. Got to split them up, right? Can't have 4 of them still together, possibly all going to the jury. So these are Whitney's true intentions here. Whitney says she will throw the HOH competition to the Jokers if possible. And a lot of people have been saying this to Brittany, and Brittany's like, cool. But Brittany also doesn't really want to win HOH. She would prefer to have Azah or Derek F win. But she's like, yeah, if it comes down to me or one of the Kings, you better believe I'm still going to fight for it. And she says, Whitney says, if I did win HOH, I would put up 2 members of the Kings. So then Brittany's asking, who do you think is the biggest threat on the Kings? Who should we be going for here? And Whitney is talking about Christian and Alyssa's tight bond. I don't see how you don't start with the showmance, right? Wouldn't you want to break up the strong duo within the group of 4? I think so. But she also says Sarah Beth is really strong-minded, and it would be hard to work with her in the future because she doesn't even like hearing other people's viewpoints. When she's made up her mind, that's it. She says Xavier is extremely likable. I don't think I could beat him in the end. She says Christian is a comp beast, but Alyssa is the glue that holds the group together. And Brittany's like, whoa, you're not the first person to bring up Alyssa being the glue. She says Hannah's brought it up. Others have brought it up. And Brittany says the more that people say it, the more I'm like, you're right. She is the glue. She's got to go. So now it seems like Brittany's number one target is Alyssa. But they discuss that if Alyssa and Christian are both nominated, they can't use the power veto on each other, right? They'd have to use it on themselves. So it seems like, you got to just put them up together. So later, Tiffany and Hannah were chatting in the coral bedroom, and Tiffany says, I have a plan to get the 6, meaning the cookout, to the final 6. But she doesn't drop the cookout name because none of them have said the name, the cookout, to Hannah yet. She just knows that the 6 of them have an understanding that they're not going to go after each other. So Tiffany says that she needs Hannah to stay close to Derek X. And Tiffany starts explaining her whole plan to her. But now she also adds on that the final 4 of this whole entire thing would be the 2 of them. So Tiffany and Hannah and Kyland and Xavier. Now this is interesting because when Tiffany talked to Xavier about the plan again later, she said that the final 4 would be Tiffany, Xavier, Kyland, and Azah, not Hannah. Interesting. But yeah, so she goes through the whole plan. I'm not going to go through it again because it's a lot. But Hannah seems on board with it. She's excited. I think she's excited to actually be included in this right now. But they also discuss how the Kings cannot win this next HOH. And Tiffany reveals that the Kings would put Hannah up on the block next to Whitney. Ooh, so yeah, she tells Hannah, you got to go for that HOH. And if you win, we'll have your back. Don't worry. Xavier knows that he's got to lose somebody from his team. So don't feel like you can't go after them. So Tiffany says, ideally, the Jokers win this next HOH. They do our dirty work. But if not, you or Whitney have to win this. So Hannah confirms the plan. She's like, yeah, I'm on board for this. Sounds like if she wins, she wants to put up Christian and Alyssa, with Alyssa leaving. And Tiffany says you need to really encourage Whitney to gun for that HOH because we can't let the Kings win. So Hannah's like, all right, I know what needs to be done. She tells Tiffany that she's brilliant. They hug, and that is that. Okay, so a few minutes after their conversation ends, Azah and Hannah were chatting in the yacht club bedroom. And Hannah's like, well, we know who can't win HOH next week. She's talking about the Kings. She says, if the Kings win, either of us could be thrown up on the block as pawns. We can't have that. And Azah's like, yeah, I wouldn't feel safe at all if like anybody outside of my team won HOH. But then she goes back and she's like, but also I'd feel safe if anyone from the cookout were to win. Oops. Yeah, like I mentioned, they have not said to Hannah that their group is called the Cookout yet. So Hannah's like, wait, is that the name? And Azah's like, yeah. And Hannah asks, did you come up with that? And Azah's like, yeah, I haven't told anybody about it yet. That's just what I call it in my head. Don't tell anybody because like I didn't say anything yet. It's just what I call us in my head. But Hannah says she really likes it. It's fun. So after that conversation, Azah is really worried that she blew it. She's going around to all the other Cookout members being like, I just freaking said the name of the alliance in front of Hannah. I think I blew it. But guess what? They don't really care. They're like, whatever. It's not that big of a deal. Okay, so then Hannah gets to work. She is chatting with Whitney up on the Sky Bridge, and Hannah says, I've decided I am going to gun for the HOH, and Derek X is too. I think we all have to at this point. She says, I think I could end up on the block next week as a pawn or a target. I don't think she fully realizes how much danger she's in at this point. But Whitney's like, why do you think that? Why do you think you could go up on the block. And Hannah says, well, after Brent goes, we are starting at square one next week. There's no more like house target that everybody is unified and taking out. She says, I don't feel any more safe than the next person. And Whitney's like, oh shit, maybe I should gun for it too. Yes. But they do agree if they had the opportunity to potentially throw to Team Jokers, they would. But they agree the Kings need to be broken up next week. So if any of the Kings are still left in the competition, they cannot be throwing it. All right. In other news, Tiffany and Claire named their final two deal. They are calling themselves Snake Eyes. Hannah also asked Derek X to be her person in this game. She said it's not a showmance. It's a game thing. He said yes. So then a few other quick things. The house guests spent a bunch of time cleaning up the house last night. And the guys made this like toilet paper tower stacked on top of the toilet, which I think is really gross. Don't be putting all that clean toilet paper next to the toilet. Ew. Okay. But anyway, there was a fun moment when Ozza was moonwalking and then she fell. And we can laugh about it because she's okay. But I saw the video so many times on Twitter last night and I could not pass it up without watching it. It was a good time. Just make sure you watch with the sound on too. And then in other news, other quick things, everyone was pissed at Brent again last night because he asked Brittany like how long she thinks it would take for him to get his suitcase back after the eviction. What a jerk. Also, he's going to feel so stupid later. Oh my God. The have-nots ate at midnight and Tiffany continued to map out the order that everyone will be going home this season for the rest of the season. It's too much. Tiffany, I love Tiffany. She's wonderful, but she's been doing too much this week. But now she's factoring in that Xavier would prefer Alyssa be his like partner outside of the cookout instead of Christian. Because he doesn't want to go up against Christian in some of these physical competitions. All right. So then, this morning. Okay. No, this is still last night. So they made it the whole freaking week almost with Brent in the dark. And then did Christian ruin the blind side last night? There was an incident earlier when Derek F was telling Brent, like, dude, I don't know if you got the votes. I don't know if it's going to work out. But I don't think that really shook Brent that much because he wasn't 100% counting on Derek F's vote anyway. He thought he was going to do this without the Joker's vote, so that didn't really matter. But Christian may have ruined things because, okay, we got Brent talking to Alyssa in the sea glass bedroom, and Brent is telling this story of how him, Christian, and Derek X were cleaning the bathroom, and they're joking around like, wow, the girls must really think that we're dumb, and that's why they assigned 3 of us to clean the bathroom. And Christian said, I know exactly why the girls think we're dumb. We sent 3 guys home in the first 3 weeks. Oof, but you're talking to the 3rd guy that's going to be leaving today. So Brent said it was dead silent after that, and it really did seem like a slip and not a joke from Christian. Yeah, it was definitely a slip. Yikes. So then Brent was telling Alyssa, I think you're being left in the dark by your own team. I think that they are going to try and vote me out without telling you. Oh my God. So he might still think that he has the votes. I think he still thinks there's a good chance that he's staying, but I don't think he's going to be super shocked at this point if he's voted out. I mean, not if, when he's voted out. Of course, when he's talking to Julie, he'll be like, oh yeah, I thought like maybe it was going to happen. Like I knew the entire time. So Christian really blew it there. That's a bummer. That's a huge bummer. Anyway, today, the plan is still on to vote out Brent, of course. I'm not sure how surprised he's going to be, but we'll see what happens. And other than that, some of the house guests are still trying to decide if they want a gun for the HOH or not. So I want to know from you guys, who do you want to win this next HOH competition? I would like to see somebody from Team Jokers possibly win, or maybe Hannah. I think that would be a lot of fun. Hi! I just think a Brittany or Derek F HOH would be
Whoa.
easy there. Oh my God, please don't get hurt. A Brittany, Derek F, either of them winning HOH would be so chaotic, and I would love it. But I feel like Ozzy could also be potentially messy. So yeah, anybody from Jokers, right?
Yes! Oh, you good boy.
Okay. So we want to thank all of our super chatters today.
We're not worthy.
We are not worthy. Jody Cortez, thank you so much. Rob's classic commercials and retro stuff, thank you so much. Laura G, thank you so much. Jefferson Tucker, thank you so much. Darren McDowell, he's in the 100 club, keeping it 100. Thank you so much for your generosity. You are so, so kind and sweet. Fa Q, thank you so much. And he says, I wish the players were more upfront who they were aligned with. You mean like for our benefit or with each other? Because I don't want them to draw the line
like
too hard in the
each other,
sand.
like in the olden times.
Like
the
it's just like
Sovereign
two
Six
teams going at each
yeah.
other. I feel like sometimes that's a lot of fun, but then sometimes it's also fun for them to be like, I don't know who I can trust. Makes it interesting. It really depends on the season, you know? But thank you so much for the super chat. Carl Van Bergen, thanks so much for the super chat. Mary Patricia Dorsey, thank you so much. And Debbie Prishgoda, thank you so much for the super chat. You guys are so sweet. I know everybody in the house even has been saying that they hope that Julie's going to do a fake out tonight with the vote and be like, by a vote of 11-0, Brittany, you're safe. We'll see what she does. I don't know. Bowie. Okay.
He's gonna knock
baby
my
boy.
laptop.
Yeah, he's going to knock that over. So we should probably get out of here. I know everybody probably wants to just like chill and relax before the live stream tonight or before the episode tonight. Yeah, I got some emails to answer and stuff. I got to call Granny, but I think next week is going to be really, really interesting no matter who wins HOH. So I think we're going to be eating good.
In the neighborhood.
Yeah. So thank you all so much for being here. We will see you later for tonight's episode recap. And thank you again for watching. Until next time, much love.
Awkward.